Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Push with Nick and KP. Today, we are going to be going through our WWE Wrestlemania Night 2 reactions as we did for our Night 1 in the previous video. Here we are. I'm KP. We got Nick in attendance here, who's going to be joining me, discussing everything that went down, reacting to all the matches, and breaking everything apart that happened on the second night of WWE's WrestleMania event. So, without further ado, how about we dive into the first topic of conversation, which was for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. This was a match between Drew McIntyre and Seth freaking Rollins, the current champion at the time, and the man who was the only person at this point to have held the WWE World Heavyweight Championship since it came to fruition last year. So, this one was a crazy way to kickstart the show. We had a couple of very big talking points. This one we'll get across everything as we go along with this one. But how about I just start with what I thought of the whole thing? And I thought it was quite a frantic, heavy-hitting opener to starting night 2 of WrestleMania. You had, obviously, in night 1, Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley starting off in that particular night. This one started off in a bit more of a crazy, chaotic way. Because this match would start off in the best way for Drew that he would know how. He would actually hit a Claymore straight out of the gate to set the tone. I thought it really did set the tone for this one because it was quite blink and you'll miss it sort of a vibe for this matchup, and I really did enjoy the pure just adrenaline straight out of the gate, just purely just going at it, these two. And yeah, this was a bit of a finisher fest, to be fair. But that didn't really take away from the match, in my opinion. I thought it was quite fun. It was quite interesting to see, like how many finishes it would take for whoever was going to win to get the job done. And yeah, the multiple kickouts from both Seth and Drew made this one a very, very fun watch for me personally, because they were both pushed their absolute limits in this one. What did you make of Drew McIntyre and his sort of approach to this match, though? Because I mean, he went a bit blasé towards the start. I thought one of the greatest points of this match was when he actually did a tweet during the match, just proving how good he is on the social sort of thing, being an absolute menace to society. But this version of Drew McIntyre is great. And did you see that in the opening moments of this matchup?
Yeah, I think you described it the best way I would know how as well would be that it was basically a finish fest, and blink and you miss it is absolutely true. You look away, the first 10 seconds of the match, you've already missed a finisher. I think a lot of people, wrestling purists, might kind of put their nose up at this kind of match, and at times I would probably be on that list as well, just because this kind of reminds you of like a Brock match, and that there's really no rhyme or reason to it. We're just throwing out finishers. But I feel like it works in this scenario for a couple of reasons. One of those reasons being that in Drew's mindset, as it should be, is that Seth cannot have much energy, if any at all. And so why not just, why beat around the bush? Let's just get straight to it and get it done. So in that aspect, I think it works great. I think another aspect of this is because it's opening the show, it's you're wanting to pump up the crowd. And contrary to night 1, I think this does a great job of doing so and getting everyone's side. If you aren't, especially towards the end and the post match happenings, if you aren't excited about this and up in your feels about this match, then maybe you're just not a wrestling fan. But yeah, this was a great way to start the night and continue the momentum that left off from night 1.
Yeah, you made some really good points there. I think what you're saying about the Brock Lesnar sort of vibe to it, and I was thinking that actually as well. Like, it did have that type of vibe to it, which is quite strange because a lot of the Brock Lesnar matches in the past I haven't really enjoyed whatsoever. I'm talking about the recent past now, and obviously not like back in his earlier days of the company. But yeah, in terms of like the last few years, never really enjoyed those per se. But I thought this one was a lot more of a different feel. Maybe it's the talent of these guys in the ring and like just their sort of general presence in the matchup, perhaps. I think the dynamic is very different compared to that of a Brock Lesnar contest. So, yeah, technical purists, like you said, maybe wouldn't enjoy this one. I am normally on the fence, on that side of the fence as well, in terms of liking the sort of technical style. But no, this one was really, really fun, enjoyable, and it was great. Initially just kicking it off with a big move, and that really just set that tone. But absolutely really chuffed and pleased for Drew McIntyre here, getting the victory and, you know, putting Seth Rollins to the side, because that is something that he'd longed for such a long time. Winning the World Championship in front of fans, you know, it's a big moment for him, and it was something that he wasn't able to achieve up until this point. So for him to have been able to do that now is absolutely wonderful, and I'm really, really happy for him. The action didn't end there, though. I mean, after Drew getting the victory, you know, in what was a crazy matchup, Drew would be celebrating, and he would be relishing the moment. He would be enjoying every single second of it. And we mentioned the fact that CM Punk was on commentary for this matchup, and he would sort of like be there. He'd be voicing his opinions and everything going down. Obviously, he's been a very big part of this build, really, in terms of Drew McIntyre, because obviously the hatred that he's shown towards Punk, and it's been all about that, really. So it was always something was always gonna happen, and it would be after the matchup. So Drew would be celebrating, he'd be enjoying his moment, and he would decide to go over in front of CM Punk. He'd go to celebrate in front of him. He'd get a little bit overzealous to the point where CM Punk would actually attack Drew McIntyre, he'd drag his leg off of the announce table, which is where Drew was at the time, right in front of CM Punk's face. And CM Punk would use the elbow brace in order to whack McIntyre over the head, causing him to be laid out at ringside. That would be the moment there. That would be the prime opportunity. He wasn't asleep for once. He was ready to go. Damian Priest would come out, charge to the ring to cash in on Drew McIntyre. Now, I know that you're not the biggest fan of Damian Priest, but what were your thoughts on this particular cash in? Did you think it was a very good moment? Did you enjoy it in any way? But yeah, what were your thoughts particularly? Because I mean, I for one thought it was a great move.
So yeah, as you mentioned, I'm not the biggest Damien supporter at this point, but I'd love to be proved wrong, and so I'm all ears in terms of show me what you got. Make this title that Seth did a phenomenal job, by the way, of building up. So uh, while we'll see this theme reoccurring throughout the weekend, and that you lose track of what you're going for, and all of a sudden what you have and love is taken out right from underneath you. We saw it, the first example of that being in the Gunther match, kind of counting his chickens before they hatch, so to speak. We see that theme a lot this weekend. Personally, I love that just because it's something different. It's something, as opposed to just an interference or something. It's more psychological, and I love that aspect of it. It's, thinking more about these as they turn in and turn out, I think, is a great way to go, and I love this booking decision. You can't we've given Damian Priest lots and lots of shit over the last year, and I think rightfully so. And whether it's his fault or writing's fault, whatever, doesn't matter. You can't have a bigger cash in than this. I personally didn't know why CM Punk was there in the first place. I couldn't. I gave a 0% chance of Damien cashing in just because he hadn't done it to this point. Why start now? And so I think you did two amazing things. You have a great cash in, and although I don't think it completely writes off the inability to cash in throughout the time period and make his character look a little dumb, kayfabe speaking, of course. But I think you did a great job of starting something new, continue to build Judgment Day, and like their tag titles don't really seem that important at this point. And then you can continue to build the CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, poor guy. Last two times he's held the title have been amounted to, very little in terms of fan appreciation and time to do so, simply because the last one was in the COVID era, and then this one lasted about 5 minutes. I can't wait to see CM Punk, Drew McIntyre rivalry. That should be a lot of fun, and Drew just has to be an absolute menace. And I like the decision simply because I think this is the best we've ever seen Drew, and we'll continue seeing that going forward with how this decision was made. So I'm all for it.
Yeah, just to like sound off on that as well. Drew McIntyre at the moment is probably on top of his game, I think, really. Sort of like a peak of his abilities, whether it's like a character or in ring, whatever, like a general package. He's just absolutely smashing it every single time. It's just so great to see because I think like he's one of those guys that really deserve that opportunity. But then obviously, if you talk about in this particular situation, you got that cash in afterwards, which is immediate. You do have to feel bad for him as well. He did win the title. I suppose it's not for very long, but he did add another world title to his name technically. And that moment did initially hit for him. But yeah, Damian Priest cash-in was a thing of, you know, we like you said, we've mocked him for a long time. So for him to actually go out and do it at this stage, yeah, it doesn't get much better than this. And you got to give respect to him for that, for taking the moment, for taking the chance, and to actually, you know, getting the job done, because we were convinced at one point that he was never going to cash in, and you know, all these great opportunities, they just kept coming their way, and he kept batting them away, he kept falling asleep and not bothering, whatever you want to say about it. But yeah, he hit this one out of the park and he did a great job of it. And yeah, made a big WrestleMania moment for himself. And obviously we see what can happen now for Damian Priest. Will he be worthy of holding the world title? Well, we're going to find out, because that's the ride that we're on right now, right? But yeah, I mean, great fun, entertaining way to start the show. Something that will be remembered for a very long time. I gave this as like a general overall rating, so I'm including the Seth and Drew match as well as the cash in and that, you know, that very small bit of offense there. I gave this one an 8.5 out of 10. I thought it was a lot of fun, really good segment from start to finish, and yeah, just really had my attention throughout the entire thing. I really did like this.
Yeah, I can't really complain too much about it. I can say the match was maybe a little short, but I think for what it is and the mentality of Drew going after Seth, knowing he was down, you know, not even 24 hours off this last match, I think it makes sense to do it that way. So I can't really nitpick much on that. So, and as far as the moment overall, getting Damien and then planting the seeds, more seeds. We have a whole garden at this point of Drew McIntyre and CM Punk continuing that bit. So yeah, no complaints from me. I give this one a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, very close ratings there by the sounds of it. But that Punk McIntyre feud is going to be tremendous. I'm all for that one once it officially begins, because you know we've been sort of in the precipice of it now. But now, you know, we see how far CM Punk is away from it. Maybe he'll come back into the action soon, and then whilst we can see it really kick off. Anyway, that was the craziness of the first opening contest there and everything that happened afterwards. How about we move on now to what followed from that? And we had a six-pack tag team Philadelphia street fight, which saw the Pride featuring Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits taking on the Final Testament, Karrion Kross and the AOP. And I wasn't really hyped going into this matchup, to be fair, into WrestleMania. I thought it was, you know, one of those things that was sort of like added just because why not? Maybe like get like a little bit of something in there, just to fill up the card. But I mean, having watched the match and like seen that everything went down during it, it was a very, very fun match. It was just basically pure chaos from start to finish, right? You had Snoop Dogg on commentary, which was a bit of a surprise. You even had Bubba Ray Dudley as a special guest referee. Like those two weren't like advertised going into it. So when that was all happening, we were just looking at each other like, what? Like, were we told about this beforehand? No, we weren't, were we? So it's like they were just like unraveling like surprise after surprise, and we were like, okay, right, let's get into it then. This has got some potential now. Then, all right, let's go. And yeah, it had exactly that. It was the Pride getting a good win here, maybe catapulting them into other opportunities going forward. But the match was crazy. We had like Kendo Sticks being broken apart really early on by the AOP. High flying action courtesy of Montez Ford, destruction like just completely throughout, broken tables. BFAB and Scarlett were getting involved as well. Did you think that this is the culmination of this rivalry? Do you think they still got a little bit of beef going forward? Do you think this is them done? Because I think, like, at the end of the day, if you settle your stuff in a match like this, where can you physically go from here? So, are you in agreement that, you know, I think everything is done between the Pride and Final Testament now, and they can all go, like, into other ventures, they can go on to other opportunities now?
For the sake of both teams, I think, yeah, as you said, I don't think you can top this in terms of a payoff. I while I don't completely agree with the booking decision, I think as soon as Bubba Ray put his glasses on and started arguing with Carrie, and I was like, okay, I think it was quite obvious the direction we were headed in, and Snoop Dogg on the commentary was it was interesting. I'll give it that. But he clearly just there to have a good time, and that's clearly what this match was. Was similar to the LDF LWO from night one. They realized they needed to make this something a little more than just a 3-on-3 match. So I think that did what it was supposed to. And again, well, I think the Final Testament would have benefited a lot more from this win. I understand that this was just here on a pure entertainment basis, and I had a great time with it, so I can't really fault that decision.
That was a point where Bubba was, I'm pretty sure it was towards the end, wasn't it? He was actually sort of like encouraging the Pride to basically get the job done, wasn't he? He was helping them out, and he was like giving them tips and stuff. It was so entertaining and so much fun. Like I say, was not hyped at all for this one, but it turned out to be a lot more of a enjoyable experience than I thought it was going to be. And yeah, Snoop Dogg was hilarious on commentary, right? And there was a point where someone hit some sort of a variant of a suplex. It was like a fisherman's or something like that. And I think Cole or Graves was the one to actually say the move. And then I'm pretty sure Snoop Dogg said something like, "Oh, suplex," like taking it old school. And it was just like purely like vibing to it. Like I was just laughing. Like I thought it was hilarious. But yeah, maybe this is the send off of both these guys in terms of like this feud. They can now go like separate ways and they can go to other things perhaps. The finish was quite cool, to be fair. I like the idea. Obviously, it didn't go completely cleanly as they wanted it to, with the table originally breaking just on Cross's weight to begin with. But yeah, the frog splash was a nice way to end this one. If it had worked out originally, it would have been great. But yeah, I like the idea. I thought it was good. But yeah, extremely fun match to watch. I gave this one an 8 out of 10. I did not think I'd get anywhere near that going into this one. But yeah, very very much took me by surprise, this one, which is great.
Yeah, that's the best kind. I think we kind of had the same mindset going into this one. I think the street fight kind of helped us realize, oh, maybe this could just be a fun kind of spot match, and it kind of was just that. But similarly to your comments about Sanu, I think them promoting their drink, gin and juice, and all that. I think they were just there to have a good time, and I think he was referring to BFAT. He was referring to as girl, like what are you doing, girl? Like he's concerned about her safety, or like be careful, something along those lines. And it was like that was it was just a good time. You can't really fault that for what it was. So I think I gave this one a 7 out of 10. It was a fun match. Don't think I'll go back and watch it, kind of thing, but a nice Mania moment, similar to the LDF LWO. So
Yeah, I think this was like a more enjoyable version of that LWO and LDF situation from the night one. So yeah, just like a little thing in there. But yeah, Snoop calling like B-Fab girl and like actually being worried for her it's just such a cool moment. Like yeah, all about the vibes in this one. Something that wasn't really about all the vibes though was what followed next, and that would be LA Knight going 1-on-1 against AJ Styles. And these two, they've had a pretty intense feud over the last number of months. I think about the past like 4 months or so, roughly. This dates back to like end of last year. And yeah, this one would basically go as you'd expect it to. And during Styles' entrance, with new music, by the way, bit of a talking point there. We'll probably get onto that in a little bit. Yeah, Styles would be on his entrance. He wouldn't even get to the ring. He would start charging straight there. So like he'd get down the ramp and he'd like, you know what? Let's kick this off in the only way we know how. I'm going to kick your ass right here. Yeah, it was a pretty nice matchup, I thought, to be fair. Like, good way to possibly conclude this feud. I'm not sure if that's definitely the way it's going to go down, but I think they basically had their say. I think the feud has built up to this point where they have a 1-on-1 match. I'm happy to call that there. I don't know if that's the plan, but I think that could be the way. But yeah, start off on a fast pace, Styles charging down, and yeah, I thought it was quite an even match, to be fair. It wasn't like any dominance really one side or the other. They were very back and forth, trading blows. And I think that was good for both men, because at the end of the day, I think ideally I would like Styles and LA Knight to be picking up wins at WrestleMania this sort of point. but obviously they can't if they're against each other. So it's a bit of a awkward situation there. But I thought neither man looked weak here. It's just Knight had like a moment where he just hit the BFT. That was it. Job done. I don't think Styles looked particularly weak from that. But yeah, I don't know if maybe you enjoyed this one so much like I'm describing right now. I've got a lot of positive to say about this one as I'm going along here. But yeah, what do you think about Styles taking the loss here? Do you think that's going to affect him massively going forward, or do you think that he can take this one and he can let LA Knight have it?
Yeah, quite the contrary from the match before. Feel good vibes. This one was taking no prisoners. But yeah, unfortunately, both men can't win. I think at this point, I think it's fair to say that LA Knight needs to win, tenfold more than AJ Styles. AJ Styles could lose for an entire year, and no one would bat an eye because he's just that good, and he would still be credible. My only complaint about this was that it did feel a bit rushed, but by no means was the match bad. I think this is just LA Knight and AJ Styles in particular. He's just one of those guys that you expect a 5-star match from every single match you see. And yeah, this one was good. I think probably LA Knight's probably his best performance I think that I've seen on the main level, speaking only. But yeah, this was good. And I think both men need to move on as well. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I just think maybe I was let down just a tad. But by I'm grasping at straws here. By no means a bad match, and very intense, hard hitting. Perhaps just a bit rushed. It's my only complaint.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. I think they could have maybe had a little bit longer to settle their differences, perhaps, maybe. But yeah, I don't know. I think like LA Knight continuing to impress here in these big matches. Like I've never once thought that he's been like out of his depth in these like big opportunities. And I think this is another testament to he can step up. I know a lot of people doubt like his in-ring ability. Yeah, he's not so much on the same level as like Styles is, but I think every time he's with someone like that, he does sort of like hold his own. I think he's doing quite well with that. But I think looking forward to the future now, LA Knight, I think is it about time now where we put him in like a title picture, like a serious one? Obviously, we've had him against Roman Reigns in the past, but I don't think anybody realistically expected him to win that one. Even though it would have been awesome, no one really believed it would happen. So maybe like if he was popping into like a US title picture where you're thinking, actually, this could take place, this could happen, he could get a win here, and he could become the United States champion. Maybe something like that could come along for LA Knight now. If that's the case, that'd be great. I gave this one a 7.5 out of 10. And yeah, it was good. It wasn't like anything like special. I don't think I'd probably go back and watch it. But yeah, it was a good match between the two of them, settle their differences, and move on now to other things.
Yeah, I think it's imperative that LA Knight gets it at the very least into a title picture. Kind of crazy that it hasn't really outside the Roman match. But before we lose all momentum that he has, I think it is imperative that we get him in a title picture and get a title on him at some point over the next year. If we're here next year and LA Knight hasn't had a title yet, I think so someone missed something somewhere, I think would be the main takeaway. Yeah, I give this one a 7 as well. Again, it just like I said, I think this is LA Knight's best match that he's had so far. But it was with AJ Styles. AJ Styles could make anyone look good. I want to see LA Knight do it with someone not quite of that level. And his last big match, was with Roman. I think him and Logan would be a great bout, and I'd be perfectly okay with him taking that from him. But yeah, we'll see where both these guys go. I think AJ's with the new entrance, and he's looking jacked to me at the moment. He's looked bigger than I think he's ever looked to me. I think he's next on Cody's list in the near future. So we'll see where these guys go from here.
Yeah, so either way, we're talking about maybe these guys going on to like different title pictures here. So that's the testament to like where these guys are at the moment and what they could potentially be going forward to at some point as well. But yeah, I mean, a Logan and LA Knight feud is almost like making my like mouth water. Just like the prospect of that is is very interesting for me for sure. So yeah, I can definitely get behind that. Speaking of Logan Paul, how about we talk about what followed next? And that was a triple threat match for the WWE United States Championship. You saw Kevin Owens going up against Randy Orton, going up against Logan Paul, the current champion going in, and the champion coming out afterwards. Logan Paul would get a win here. And it was a pretty cracking match, I think, to be honest with you. Like, all three men, they were very entertaining to watch. You had the Kevin and Randy cooperation, which, it's been so like consistent over the last few weeks and stuff, maybe past month, I want to say, maybe a little bit longer. But yeah, they had that cooperation going into the entrance where you had Kevin Owens going and grabbing the golf cart and Randy Orton making his way out, Kevin coming to collect him and taking him down to the ring. And then the match started off in such a way with Kevin and Randy taking it to Logan Paul collectively. So I think there was like a showcase at one point on the announce table, wasn't there? You had Kevin Owens being taught by Randy how to like properly hit the back drop onto the announce table. I thought it was quite fun, just them like trading blows there on Logan. Quite a funny moment. But yeah, this match was it had like so many different elements to it. You had your comedic factor, you had your seriousness to it, you had your intensity between the three of them. Eventually, it would catch up to Kevin Owens and Randy Orton. It has to. It's a triple threat match. Come on. So, yeah, eventually it would get out of that situation. They would, get involved between the two of them as well. And, yeah, so many fun, exciting elements in this one. And that's not even discussing something else that I'm going to leave for the moment, because I'm sure we'll probably get on that in a couple of moments. But, yeah, what did you think of the dynamic here? Obviously, those two, that alliance between KO and Randy. I think we discussed it in the predictions video as well. Not lasting too long in the match. It went basically how we thought, didn't it? But yeah, what did you think regarding that and like them transitioning into, all right, let's get into it. But yeah, there's like comedic moments as well. What was your thoughts on all of that?
Yeah, I think it pretty much lined up exactly with what with how we thought it would go in terms of Randy versus KO. Both of them have a history of turning on their teammates or someone they consider to be a friend or vice versa. So I think we knew that was inevitable, and that would probably play a role in how Logan would retain, and they did exactly that. But yeah, I can't really say it much better than you did. This match had a little bit of everything. It had your serious wrestling, and then it had the comedic bits, particularly getting worked at. Randy Orton was hilarious, and then returning the favor. Took, I think, I'm blanking on his name, Speed or something like that. I think his name might have been. But I think he's a big YouTube guy and probably affiliated with Logan to some capacity, and probably why he's here with him. But yeah, he took a bump, all right. And that was great to see. I think that made for a great moment. And yeah, I think everything here was perfectly booked, and I don't think we're gonna complain about how this went down. And I don't think anyone came out of this match looking weak. And Logan continued getting his grimy, kind of sneaky finishes without being blatant about it. So I kind of like that aspect of it. But yeah, no complaints from me. This was a fun one, and yeah, I give this one an 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, that's the general vibe in it. It was enjoyable. It was fun. It was entertaining, and I think that's like something that's a testament to like all three of the guys in here with the dynamic and just the sort of like general, you know, just the way it all worked out in the end. I thought it was really, really good to watch. And you mentioned I Show Speed. Yeah, exactly that. I was going to get onto that in a couple of moments. I mean, I think once we all saw the Prime bottle, I think everybody's mind originally went, okay, look, it's KSI. He's back. This is what he pulled last year. We've seen him a couple of months ago. I think it was like a month ago, actually, on SmackDown in the build-up to this. So we're like, oh, here he is again. It's going to be KSI back in the action, and he's probably going to get some sort of spot with him later on. And no, it wasn't. It was I Show Speed, and I don't think I'll ever forget the image of just the cap, almost like that cover though across the face and the bottle of the costume. He just removes it. Obviously, then we're all like, "Oh my god, look, it's I Show Speed!" And then like he just starts barking at Randy Orton, like it's like, "You must know what's coming. Why are you trying this?" But yeah, he sold the RKO very, very well on the announce table. it was a pretty cool spot. And yeah, like, credit to him for selling it so well. He was flat out. So, it was a pretty cool spot, that. And that wasn't the only RKO that I thought was pretty good from the matchup as well. You had that attempted pop-up powerbomb towards the very end from Kevin Owens. Randy would reverse it into an RKO there. It just had a lot of really good elements to this one, like I said a couple of minutes ago. But yeah, Logan getting the win, something I expected to happen from this one. Maybe we get a new challenger emerging post-Mania for Logan. That'll be kind of cool if we do. But yeah, I don't know. You put anybody against Logan at the moment, they're probably going to have a memorable sort of match in some way, shape, or form. So I gave this one an 8.5 out of 10. A lot of fun to watch and just, yeah, tremendous, really. So that seems to be everything discussed then with the United States Championship matchup. So how about we move on to what followed next up from this one? And that was a one-on-one opportunity here for the women, for the winner of the Women's Royal Rumble match. We saw Bayley going one-on-one with former Damage Control teammate Io Sky for the WWE Women's Championship. This one was very, very interesting for me because you had that element of surprise with the entrance here from Bayley. So I wasn't really expecting something new to be coming from her. Obviously, we knew that going shedding the skin of Damage Control. But to be fair, she had her what was a current theme at the time before Damage Control. I thought maybe she would just keep it anyway. But when she came out, and obviously she had the change of theme, and she had that really cool entrance with the costume characters, the Pharaoh type vibe that we were going for here, like the ancient Egypt sort of situation. That was really, really cool. I thought that was quite a nice little change, nice new element there. But I think it sort of like made me think of how, like, you got those entrances in the past where you've had like Triple H, your Charlotte Flairs, where they've had like those extras sort of on the stage with them. I think like in a few years' time we'll probably be hearing stories of like how X person was part of this entrance maybe at WrestleMania. So it's quite a cool thing to maybe take off from there. But this match, if we talk about it as actually what happened throughout it, it was absolutely incredible. Yeah, tremendous match between two of the best women in the business, like two of some of the best women in the business here. Just are absolutely phenomenal. The build-up has been not quite as good as it could have been, perhaps, but the match delivered to absolutely no end. It was next level. Very back and forth affair. Saw some really nice transitions throughout. Io had a quality match and showcased her talents, all over the shop. And I just thought these two brought the absolute very best in each other. Like, this probably go down as one of Bayley's best ever matches. I think it'll probably go down as, at the moment, maybe Io's best match in her WWE career up to this point. It's just a testament of how good this match was. And I think when you look at Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch from the night before, we know that Ripley's capable of putting on a match like this to this caliber. And yeah, this was just one of the matches of the weekend, in my opinion. It was tremendous. It was up there with the better and the most talked about situations here. Bayley winning the women's the women's championship, such a wonderful moment for her, and getting off the back of Damage Control with a great victory there. But yeah, what did you think of this match? Did you think it was as show stealing as I'm making it sound like? Because I think you might do. Interested to hear your thoughts about this.
Yeah, I can't disagree with anything that's been said. Definitely the best match of Io's from Maine specifically. And Bayley's catalog is so big. Maybe it's not the best of her career, but it's got to be, at least top 3, top 5 for her. Both of these guys really, really brought out the stops. And I think, as you mentioned too, we had the feud building up to this wasn't exactly traditional in the sense, but it had a big build at the beginning of it, and then it kind of tapered off, and then you had a little interview bump they took, I think, a week or so before, but hadn't had a ton building up to it, and maybe that was the thought process, and that these two are going to steal the show anyways. We can focus on other feuds anyways. But these guys did exactly that. Some of the reversals in this match were insane. And yeah, I don't think you can take much away from either of these. I honestly didn't care who won. I was okay with either of these women walking away as champion, and I didn't see. I had no idea what was coming. I was kind of surprised we didn't get any interference, but I'm usually the one complaining about getting too much interference, so I'm all for that. I have nothing to complain about there. And Bayley winning, I'm never going to complain about that either. This was a ton of fun and arguably one of the match, if not the match of the weekend. So I'm on the hype train with you. This was a ton of fun. I kind of hope we get a rematch of some sort. But maybe this is Bayley leaving Damage Control behind for good. It feels like maybe there's some things that need to be kind of touched on still, but we'll see. But this was my second, in my opinion, perfect match of the weekend. I give this one a 10 out of 10 as well. The first one being Gunther versus Sammy. So yeah, this was a ton of fun. I can't really nitpick anything out of this match. This lived up to the hype, and that's pretty rare considering. Yeah, a lot of the times you'll have these lofty expectations and kind of don't meet them. But this one lived up to it and went beyond, in my opinion. So yeah, I love this one.
Yeah, I mean, we're taking off the same hymn sheet there, I think, to be fair. It's a lot of love and adoration for this matchup. It was tremendous. But I think you made a really good point during what you were talking about a moment ago. And you said about some of the reversals were really good in this one. One that really stood out to me was when Bayley went for a rose plant quite towards the end. And Io would just, land on her feet somehow. She'd flip over into her feet. It was incredible. I was like, I think I remember watching at the time. I was like, holy, how have you done that? It's so impressive. But I think the crowd played a really big part at this point, especially towards the end of this match as well. There have been a lot of mixed opinions based on the crowd over the course of the weekend. They've been cold, they've been whatever, they've been a little bit quiet in certain spots. But I think, once the match got into the towards the very end, the crowd were absolutely pumping, they were shaking, they were blowing the place apart. And these two women absolutely deserved that, essentially a standing ovation before the match even ended. So it was incredible, a testament to the two women there. And I think you said didn't mind who won this one. To be fair, I think I could probably have agreed with that. But, a little bit deep inside me was like, you know what, please be Bayley. But, yeah, I'm glad it was. I think, the chant, you deserve it, gets passed around a lot these days. But in a situation like this, I think she genuinely does deserve it. The amount of people she's put over in the last couple of years, very selfless actions from her. Building up Damage Control as best that she could and that she was allowed to. I think she's done a tremendous job in these last couple of years, and I think if anybody does deserve to hold a title now off the back of that, I think it is Bayley. So yeah, it was a tremendous matchup. Really, really did enjoy this one. And Bayley, she went through hard times during the matchup, right? Went through a lot of punishment, managed to come through it in the end, especially to her leg. She was sort of limping a lot throughout it, selling it quite nicely. But yeah, the combination to end the match as well was brilliant, I thought. You had that back suplex followed by the elbow drop and then into the rose plant, which was to secure the victory. But yeah, deserved the championship and, just full plaudits for this one. I gave it a 9.5 out of 10, so very close to that perfect rating. But yeah, these two women absolutely smashed out of the park in this one.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned the selling and my wife's not the biggest wrestling fan by any means, but this one had her full attention as well. And I think you can always kind of, for me anyways, you can always tell when something's really good based on if she's paying close attention or not. And she genuinely had me concerned. Bayley did on that injury. She was selling it so well. It wasn't hardly putting any weight on it at all, and she had me going. So if that was not a real injury, and it was that same knee that I think she missed it, around a year on. So it had me, and maybe it's just a concern for one of my favorites and Bayley, and maybe that's what overtook me and my worry. But it genuinely did feel like she had an injury, and it was a great job selling, and just great overall match, and both women brought it. So yeah, this was one we'll go back and revisit when we think of this Mania. So props to both ladies on this one.
For sure. Yeah, it's an instant classic at the end of the day, right? One of the great women's matches at WrestleMania, and I think personally one of the great WrestleMania matches too. It's that good, honestly. It really was. So that was the penultimate match of night 2. We've still got one more to talk about, and I think this one could be a pretty lengthy conversation, because We talk about lengthy. It was a lengthy time trying to finish the story, and that is exactly what happened in the main event, because we saw the Undisputed Universal Championship being defended in a Bloodline rules match. Cody Rhodes went one-on-one with Roman Reigns, the Tribal Chief. 1,316 days. He was at the top of the mountain, and Cody Rhodes managed to get the job done. And it was not a case of him doing it by himself. He had the whole Avengers squad coming in to give him a hand as well. But this was one of those matches that won't ever be forgotten. It's an instant classic. It's something that will go down in history. And I think it's one of those situations where you remember what you were doing when this happened. You remember where you were. It's one of those really incredible, huge moments that, whether you agree or disagree with the booking decision, you can't argue that this was massive, right? I think that's something we can all agree on there. But yeah, great one-on-one match to begin with. It went back and forth, I don't know how many times, and it turned into pure madness and chaos towards the latter stages, where you had everybody getting involved. Yeah, I think we joked about, it could have been a who's who of people getting in and associated with this one. But yeah, in terms of just the general dynamic of the matchup, and it was essentially like two different matches. You had the one-on-one to begin with. That went to probably about 2/3 of the contest, I want to say, maybe stretching into 3/4. And then you had that last inning, I guess we could say, where it was purely just a who's who of people coming in to stake their claim in a moment in history. But yeah, what were your thoughts on everything that went down in terms of anything really? What do you want to say mostly about this one? Because I feel like you could talk about anything, and we could be on this for quite some time. It's one of those matches that will live up to the test of time.
Yeah, we could probably go on for an hour, but I don't think we can say a lot that hasn't been said at this point. But we'll do our best. I think to book this match a second year in a row, it had to be something special, and I think this match delivered. I think I didn't see any issues with how, I think the only argument you can make for this match is maybe it was slightly overbooked, but I think we all expected it to be, because the only way, at least in the story of Roman Reigns' reign, the only way you can beat him is to basically outman him in terms of having someone combat the bloodline. So, I think some people have pointed out, well, you guys don't like that Roman's reign is always accompanied by the bloodline, but then you're okay when Cody does it. And it's like, well, you had to fight fire with fire in that instance, and in this instance, and so that's why I'm okay with that. And to the point you mentioned, that I don't know the exact percentage of the match that was just Roman versus Cody, but I'm glad it was a good portion of it, because we want to see that bout. We've wanted to see that bout for quite some time, and I think that aspect of it delivered. And yeah, I cannot complain about really anything other than maybe the slight possibility of being overbooked. But I think it works in this scenario. I don't feel like it took away from the match, and I think we all kind of expected it.
Yeah, you mentioned the possibility of it maybe being overbooked. I think I have a lot of plaudits for this matchup in terms of just the general happenings about it. But I think there was one particular element that, for me, is my only ever so slight criticism. And that I think when you look at the situation, you have The Rock in the ring. I think naturally The Rock's WrestleMania, inner demon, ghoul, ghost, whatever you want to call it, is Stone Cold Steve Austin, right? I think if Stone Cold was in that position, him coming out to take on The Rock and neutralize him as a threat, I think that would have been probably the best situation there. But I'm gonna guess something happened. Maybe that he wasn't available for it, whatever. But we would see Undertaker coming out to cancel out The Rock. For me, I've seen some theories. I've seen discussions about why it could be Undertaker and stuff. But I don't know. I feel like it's a very big stretch. I think that's my only slight criticism here, because I think his involvement didn't really make an awful lot of sense. And I don't mind being Todd R. Like, you could clearly missing this, KP. Come on, like, wake up, use your head. There's clearly this link, and fair enough. But like, I think I was a little bit confused by that one. But honestly, that takes very, very, very minimal situations away from the matchup in general. It's just ever so slight criticism. It's minuscule in comparison to everything. So, yeah, just because I don't think that Cody Rhodes should have won doesn't mean I think it was a bad match. But I mean, hey, it was tremendous. It was one of those moments you'll never forget, right? Just crazy. But a great match to end a quality night at WrestleMania, I thought, to be fair. But I gave this one a 9.5 out of 10. So, I mean, pretty close to perfect, to be fair. But I mean, good lord. I mean, you had the whole Avengers squad. You had Jimmy, you had Jay, you had Solo Sikoa, you had John Cena, you had Rock, Undertaker. The gang was all out in this one. And the celebration scenes afterwards were pretty crazy, to be fair. Just the pure adulation. You had Seth Rollins involved as well with the Shield theme, which was freaking great, I thought. And then, you know, Roman had that decision who he hits with the chair. Does he hit Seth? Does he hit Cody? He should hit Cody, but he hit Seth, and it was the wrong move. And yeah, it's just, you know, the inner demons from Roman Reigns, that long-term story about the Shield, and you know how Seth hit Roman with the chair. He's not over that yet, and it's clear as day that you know, Roman will regret that going forward. But you know, yeah, great match. Really, really enjoyed this one. 9.5 out of 10. Just so compelling.
Yeah, compelling is a great word for it, and I think, you know, with this long of a story being told, you know, 2 years in the making, it had to be good. And I feel like it delivered. Yeah, I personally gave this one a 10 out of 10 as well. Make that the third of the weekend, and as you said, I think um, was great. A great ending to WrestleMania, and great job finishing that story. Um, I know you cringed a little bit over there on that one. I for one like the booking of making Cody the winner here. I feel like his character is dead in the water if he doesn't win this. Um, Now that being said, I think he has a huge mountain to climb. He's almost like you know, he's in that rebound situation. You hear that term being used for relationships. I think that can kind of be used here as, and no matter how good or how long this reign is, odds are it's not going to live up to Roman's. And you know, I think a lot of us thought maybe his was too long, but you can't deny that it was monumental in every sense of the word. So Cody has a big hill to climb, as he always seems to. That maybe that'll play great with his story and his character. So we'll see where he goes with that. The bit about the Undertaker, I think, yeah, it was a bit of a head scratcher, and I think Stone Cold would have made a lot more sense. And who knows why? But what we got was just as was almost as good. But yeah, I think The Rock or Stone Cold would have made a little more sense. Um, but yeah, what a feel good moment. And if this doesn't live up to the hype that, you know, we've built to it, then you know it is what it is. We'll move on. And but you'll never be able to take away this moment from Cody. It's such a feel good David over Goliath story that we've seen told many times, but to this level, I'm not sure I can recall one quite as good as this one, and in terms of how long we've been waiting to see this story come to an end. So yeah, night two blew night one out of the water, in my opinion. And I think if you listen to our video, first video, you would probably be able to tell that just by our overall demeanor and kind of thoughts and comments about the first night, comparatively speaking, to the second night. But I think night one kind of just had a job of you know, continuing to build up the hype for night two, and especially with that main event from night one, I think did a great job of allowing this match and night two to happen the way it did. So yeah, night two definitely felt more like a mania to me than night one. But overall, yeah, you had some great matches, and in my opinion, three that couldn't have been done better. So overall, a successful WrestleMania.
Yeah, successful for sure, and I think that's a nice transition now to talk about it as a whole and an overall type thing. I think this was basically shedding the skin of the previous era and ushering in the new era, which is something that they did so tremendously well. So many new champions, so many new names at the top of the respective mountains, and I think a lot of responsibilities now that are held by other people. And I think this WrestleMania, it sounds almost like very cliche to say, but I think this is one of them that could be one of the greats. I think, like, considering what went down, how big some of the moments were, how good some of the matches were, I think, yeah, you'll always look back and think, oh, I remember WrestleMania 40. And then you could probably just go off on like a fair few different things that happened. Everyone will talk about Cody winning the WWE Undisputed Championship, of course, but then obviously there's so many other things that happened. You had Sammy ending Gunther's historic reign, the longest ever Intercontinental Championship reign done, dusted. You had Bayley and Io putting on an absolute storm match. You had Snoop Dogg killing it on commentary. I mean, there are so many like individual elements here that I think made this WrestleMania to be one of the best. I'm not saying it is the best, but definitely one of them. But yeah, it just from start to finish in night 2, it just, like you said, it blew night 1 out of the park. So it's so much better, and yeah, goes down in history as one of those big WrestleManias for sure. But definitely some big highlights across there. That Drew opener with the cash in afterwards as well was fantastic. Yeah, just crazy moments, and welcome to the era of Paul Levesque, I suppose. Right, that's where we're at now, and let's hope it's a great ride. That's what I'm really looking forward to in this one.
Yeah, I think a lot of us are on the same boat there with you. Very much looking forward to what Papa H can provide. And we didn't mention at the beginning of Stephanie coming in and kind of declaring, and I think it was the second night. You'll have to correct me if I'm wrong. That we got the new intro to WWE. The Then Now Forever. I think that was the second night. I could have missed it the first night. I'm not sure, but that was the first time I saw it. Definitely something very different, and the jury's still out whether if I like it better or not. But I think it's definitely the official new era being proclaimed, hinted at by Paul Heyman on Friday. But yeah, it's exciting times, and WWE does do that bit where they every year is the biggest and the best and the greatest and the all time. But this one did have that feeling, and we'll have to wait another year till we get the best WrestleMania, right?
I mean, guys, that's our WrestleMania reactions done. I mean, that's as sort of compact as we can make it. We could have gone into a lot more detail, but we're trying to sort of like keep things to as minimum as we can do, whilst obviously going into all the details that we can as well. So thank you very much, guys, for popping in and listening into what we've had to say. Thank you very much to Nick for joining me as well to get his opinions across as I have mine. And yeah, we will see you all again at WWE Backlash, I suppose, for our predictions and then our reactions afterwards. But there you go. WrestleMania season is done. We start the new year, and we'll go into this one with some very hopeful attitude. So yeah, looking forward to it. The new era has begun. See where it leads us to. But hey, thanks very much, guys. This has been The Push with Nick and KP, and we'll see you all in the next one. Take it easy, and we'll see you again soon.